Hey, neighbor. Harold.
All right,
Hey,
there we
neighbor.
go.
What's going on?
Surprising rain, huh?
Yeah. You going to the desert this Shabbos?
Oh,
Hello? You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You going to the desert this Shabbos?
No, Yitzi is. He gets
I'm
first
going
pick.
next week to the tennis tournament.
Oh, I'll be there one day. I'll be there Thursday morning.
Yeah, I think we're going Thursday night,
Oh, okay, great.
afternoon and evening.
I never went.
Are you?
It's,
I've never been either. You staying over Thursday?
No, we're driving back Thursday afternoon, like late.
Stay over, have you for dinner or something. Or I don't know what we're doing. Maybe not dinner. The next
When are you
day.
gonna be? When are you coming in?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if we're going Wednesday night or we're going Thursday
Oh, so if
morning.
you come on Wednesday, let me have Magda get in touch with Cassie.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll text you right now. Do. Your parents going?
No, they didn't want to go. They've been there, done that. They'll be
Uh-huh.
there. We're going to see them. They'll be in the desert. We'll stay with them. But they didn't want tickets.
It's supposed to be a big thing. I mean,
It's a big thing. Yeah. I think we're either going to the quarters or the semis.
uh-huh.
Should be nice. Cassie's an avid tennis player, so she's super excited.
Oh, good. There's women or men watching. Do you have any idea? Doesn't matter.
How are you, Abe?
Baruch Hashem, everything's good. How you doing?
I'm
We're
Ken,
on
by the way.
We're on Ches Amud Aleph, 8.
Yeah.
So we said if you're choylek, because we said, well, maybe we were dealing with the case of a star, a note that documents a loan. The Gemara ended up saying they divide the star itself, the paper. And what do you do with it? You use it for example, to stop up the bottle. But the Gemara said, well, you use it to stop up the bottle. So the Gemara said, no, you divide the money that the star is documenting. What about Shnaim Hochs and Betalis? What do we do there? There, the Gemara wanted to say, you actually divide the garment. Well, if you divide the garment, what use is it? Gemara says the chazia l'ktanim. A half a garment you could use for a child. Remember, we said if the middle part had gold in it, you divide it. Mamish. So the Gemara says afsadeh, but you're damaging the value of the garment. Haloi kasha. Talis levnei malachim ashirim. It's not. They'll use half of a golden garment. Wealthy people. Two people riding an animal, you can't divide the animal. You're going to lose the value of the animal. Are you going to divide it? The Gemara says, because you're going to lose money. So the Gemara says, no. We're talking about a behemoth tahora. I can understand if they were riding a kosher animal, you can divide it, shecht it, divide the meat equally. What about a tmei? What about a donkey? It's not kosher. If you divide the animal, upsadeh, ella must be l'dmei. You're talking about the value of the donkey. You divide. Achanami l'dmei. In achanami, you're talking about.
So how do we decide? Oh, so you sell the animal.
You sell the animal and you divide the money. But if
so we don't give the option that somebody can pay the other person.
I mean, if somebody, let's say, I would assume you could do that. If somebody needed a donkey, rather than sell it and divide the money, I'll give you the half of the money and I'll keep the donkey.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a pshara that Bezdin would do. New sugya that if I find a lost object in the street and I lift it up and I have in mind to be koine it for Kenny, kona chavero, I can do that. And the Gemara is going to compare it to the case where two people found a garment and they both picked it up. Each one, when they picked it up, not only were they zoicha their half for themselves, but they were zoicha the other half for the other guy. The Isa gedaitich loy kon chaveiro. If you're telling me the halacha that hamagbia, if you pick something up, you can't be koine for your friend. So, who is going to be the owner for this? Each one will not really acquire it. So, lav shmamina, hamagbia metzila chaver kona chaver. If I lift a found object and I zoich it on behalf of my friend, it works. Amarava. No proof. If you lift something and try to be coined for your friend, you're not coined for him. How does it work here? A different svara, not through kinyan. Migu de zachila nafshe zachila milachav. Migu is mitoch. Since you acquired it for yourself, you acquired it for your friend. Teda, it's correct. She'ilu amar l'shluchot seget v'gnovli. You tell a shaliach, go and steal this. V'ganav. The avera doesn't go back to the guy who sent it. Potter, the mishalech is potter. We have a principle, ein shliach l'dvar avera. The guy who was sent knows that you can't steal. So if he stole, it's on him. However, shutafim shagandol. Let's say you have two partners and they make a plan to steal something. Even if one of them actually took it, they're both chayiv. Chayav. My timer. Lav mishum da amrinon. We use the same principle. Just like this ganef was zoichet for himself, he was zoichet for his partner. Shma mino. It seems to be a raya. Amar Rava. Hashta da amrit. Now that you've established amrin and migu, we say this concept of migu de zachel nafshe zachel chaver. We can say something else. Cheresh upikeach. You have a deaf mute and you have a normal person. Sheikbiu Metziah. They both lifted up a found object together. Mitoch shekona cheresh. Since the cheresh acquired it, his share, so the pikech also kana pikech. So the Gemara says, I understand. Bishlam cheresh kana the kvamagrele ben das avuro. I understand. I understand why the cheresh is coined, because when the pikech lifted up his side and he was coining it for his friend, the cheresh has a bardas that's coined for him. But that works because the pikech is zoicha bechelko and he's zoicha's friend. But how is the pikech zoicha in his share? Pikech b'may kana. The cheresh has no ability because he's not a ben das. It was assumed by Chazal that a deaf mute hasn't das. How is the cheresh koina for the pikech? Ela emim, you have to say, it's only the cheresh that was kana because the pikech was koina for him, but the pikech is like kana. So what my mikud? What mikud is Rava relying on here? Mikud shnei charashim ba'alma kanu. Chazal instituted a takana that even though Chreshim normally are not bendas, they have a kinyan midrabanan. So if two Chreshim pick something up, they are koineit when they pick it up together. Hainami kon. So in this case of a pikech and a cheresh, he acquires it as well. So the Gemara doesn't understand. How does that work? Why is that a proof?
But wait, I thought we had this whole thing in Sukkah said cheresh shote katan you can't give them a lulav, they can't be makne and they can't get it back. So
A tuchreishim, but tuchre, so it's a special takana. When you have tuchre, that's right. When a cheresh is dealing with a pikeach, it's problematic. But they made a takana that if tuchreishim pick something up, they acquire it for each other. Why? Otherwise, they're going to fight each other. So it's a takanas chachamim. It's not midin. It's extrajudicial.
but
But
it's only on a Metziah.
we'll see by mecher. We'll see, but certainly by Metziah, when there could be a fight between these two chreishim. Let's see. The Gemara will tell us all of this. I just foreshadowed it.
Okay.
But in the right now, we've developed that we asked the question: how is the pikech koina if the pikech and the cheresh join it? The cheresh can't acquire it on his behalf. There's the migu de zochel nafshe can't zocher for him because he has no ability to be zocher for
Das.
himself. So the Gemara gave us this answer, right? But since there's a takana chachamim that two chreishim that pick something up, we say they have a kinyan. So when a cheresh pikech does it works the same way. More doesn't accept it. Hi, my. So im tim tzaloimar, if you're going to say that the svara is like we initially thought, not the migu de zochel nafshe zochel chaveru, but rather hamagbia metzila chaveru kana chaveru, the way Rabbi Bar Chama learned. So hanimili heichedika magbele adaita de chavre. How did that work? The one who picks it up, I picked it up on behalf that Kenny should be makneh. But even there, hi adaita didei kamagbile. But he's a pikeach. He has the ability to be coined for himself. So he can be coined for the other person. Because it wasn't only that he was picking up on behalf of his friend, he was picking up for himself too. So if Iu lo kani, if he himself doesn't have the ability to be coined because he's not a ben das, because of, right, lachrini makni, he certainly wouldn't have the ability to be coined for the other guy. So Ella, we have to go back from what we said. Ve'ema mitoch shelo kana pikeach lo kana acher. The pikeach only acquires his house. So if the pikeach did not acquire, because the pikeach didn't acquire the whole thing, the cheresh also didn't acquire because the pikeach doesn't acquire because the cheresh couldn't acquire it for him. The chitema maichna mishnei chreishim de alma. But why then is it different when you have a cheresh and a pikeach where it doesn't work at all from the case of two chreishim where we say it does work? Hasam takinu l'rabona de lo asi lansuyi. The Chacham made a special takana because we don't want them to fight. Other people will try to grab it from them knowing that they don't have a right in it either. So they made a takana that they're koina. But here, in our case, with the Bikech and the Cheresh, Hacham Ema Omar, the Cheresh says in his heart, Bikech loikani, the Bikech is not koina anything because I don't have the ability to be koina for him. Ano akni. So what? Am I going to be able to acquire? So other people come and take it away from him. He doesn't fight it. So we tried to deduce from our Mishnah these concepts of being zoicha regarding a Metziah for other people. So let's go a little deeper. Amar Ravacha Bravadil Ravashi. Diyuka de Rami Bar Chama Me'echa. This diuk that Rami Bar Chama wanted to learn from our Mishnah regarding Zechiyah for your friend, what part of the Mishnah did he learn it from? Now, the Reisha was the basic case of Shnaim Oitzim B'talis. Well, Hasam, Hai Kamar Kula Shali, Vana Agbasa Kula. One party says, it's all mine. When I picked it up for myself. So there's not a case of picking it up and being zoicha for the other person because they each one wanted to acquire the whole garment. Where did you see from the Reisha that there was this inyan of being zoicha for the other person? Ella, it's not from the Reisha. It's mehadik tani afterwards. Ze omer kula shali, v'ze omer kula shali. Each one also claimed the whole thing. So again, asu lamali. So there, it also doesn't shed light on the issue of zachi for the other person. Elamim Mishnah Yisera. There was a double language there, and Shema Minah, that Bava Metziah Chaver Kana Chaver. That picking it up for yourself, you acquired it for the friend. So, but that Vahai Ukimna, now how did we touch up that piece? That the Reisha was a case where two people found a lost object. And the Seifa was, they were in a store, they both gave money to a shopkeeper to buy something, and the shopkeeper forgot. So it wasn't a case of mitzvah, it was a case of mekach umemchar. So that's also doesn't shed raya, that's no raya yet to our case of picking something up and being zoicha for somebody else. Okay. So it was later on in the Mishnah. Zeh omer kula shali, v'zeh omer chatzia shali. We haven't learned that Mishnah yet, but later on we're going to learn. One party says the whole thing is mine. The other party says no, half is mine. So asulamali. That doesn't add to any of the previous things regarding zechia. Well, mi Mishnah Yisera shma mina, that Bava Metziah Chaver Kana Chaver, from this added piece. What do you mean? Umimai de Metziah. Where do you see a proof that that part is dealing with a lost object? Dilma b'mekach u'memkar. Again, it may not be a Metziah, it may be a sale. V'chi tema ma'ila meimu. If it's a case of mekach u'memkar, what added halacha are we learning? There's no chidush. So itzrich, there is a chidush. Because I might have thought, the guy who said half of it is mine, so Levi Kameshiv Aveda, he could have tied it that the whole thing is mine. The fact that he didn't, it's like he's returning a lost object. If he's moida only that half of it is here, he's like the other guy gets gefid in his gel. And the Vili Potter, you wouldn't have to take a shavua. Kamash that we don't say that. And we're concerned the high Erumi Kamarimu. He's using trickery. Sava, what does he hold? Iamina kulashali, if I claim it's all mine. Be'ina ishtabui, they're going to make him take a shvua. Eimahachi, I'll say only half is mine. And the Ahavi Kamesha Vaveda, they're potter. It'll be not like a Moediba Miktas, but rather I'm returning a lost object. I won't have to take a shvua. So there is a chidush then in there. And there is no extra lashon to teach us something else about zechia for somebody else. So where was the diuk? Ela meha. Rabbi Bar Chama learned the diuk from here. The case two people riding an animal. Or says hasulamali. That's not a chiddush. Okay, mimishni is seira. It's the fact that we didn't need it and it was an extra mission. So Shema Mina, so maybe from there we'll learn Bava Metziah Chaver Kana Chaver. More says why Dilma HaKamashmalon the Roichev Nami Koin. Meaning, normally only a person who leads an animal with a rope is koinen. Normally sitting on the animal is not a technique to acquire. So maybe it was taught that being roichev also acquires.
Why? Mashicha is a kinyan. You just have to make the animal move, even if you go. So here you give the animal a kick with your feet, and it moves. Why is that not a kinyan?
So
Being
the
roichev.
classic way of being koine an animal is b'mashicha or mesira.
You have to pull it.
I lead the animal with a rope.
Well,
or I
what,
give-
I'm sitting
or
on the
I-
animal.
hang on,
I'm leading the
Hang
animal.
on. or I give the animal with a rope that's Meshicha or Mesira. Now, Kenny's concept is going to come up tonight. Because when you sit on the animal and kick it, you're making it move. So that will be a habit, but when we're taught the mechanisms of kinyan, roichev is not included. It's going to be, so it's a chiddush. And that's in fact what the Gemara is telling us here, that the Mishnah which mentioned roichev ala be'ema, that's a kamashmalon. It was mentioned to teach me that that's also a form of kinyan, but that's not the normal form of kinyan. And that's now, the Gemara is rejecting learning from roichev about being koined for your friend, because it was mentioned because of this Indian that it's a chiddush, that you can acquire it that way. Ella miseifa, the very last shtickle. Bisman shehein moedim, or sheyesh lem edim. The two people are grabbing a garment. So we've been learning all along that they divide it with a shvua. However, if both parties are moedeh, only half is mine and only half is mine, or edim come to say half is his and half is his, then cholkin below shvua. Now, b'mai, what is this case? If we're talking about buying tzricha l'meimar, of course they divide. Elalav b'metziah. It's a lost object that was picked up by both of them. Shma mina, hamagbiya metzilah chaver kana chavero. And that's the final proof. The Rava Amar Lacha, no raya. It's not a magbiya metzilah chaver kana chaver, but rather it works through migu de zochi lenafshe zochi nami lechaver. Okay. Hayushleim roichrim. This last part of the Mishnah where they were both riding an animal. On Rav Yosef, formerly Rav Yehuda. Shmamina, the Marshmuel Tarti, he learns two halachas here. Rachuv umanik, somebody leading an animal and somebody riding an animal. Chad koni, v'chad loy koni. One is coin of the animal, one is not. Lo yadan eminai. I don't know which one is which. Nahechi dami, what's the case? Ile merochav l'chude manik l'chude. You talk about two animals. One is riding it, one is leading an animal. So manik l'chude mi ikeman domer lo kani. Who would be the person who says that if somebody's leading an animal with a rope that you're not coining that? That's the normal kinyan. Who might the person not be coining? Maybe Rachuv hu de ikelemem. Maybe you would not acquire an animal just by riding it. So why should Rav Yud have a suffix? Ela Rachuv b'makom manigi boile. There's one guy riding the horse and another guy leading the horse. That's when he was, who acquires it? Now, what should we say? Rachuv adif, the hatafis bey. The guy riding it sort of is machzik in the behemoth. Does he have a better kinyan? Oh, dilma manig adif to azli mechamse. Maybe the guy who's leading him with the rope, that's why the animal is walking, because of the guy leading him. On Rav Yosef, formerly Rav Yehuda, I don't remember what Shmuel said, but nexi anon, let's see ourselves. Let's see a Mishnah. This not. You have a wagon that's being led by two animals of mixed species, like a shor v'chamor. So hamanig, and let's say there's somebody walking in front of these animals with a rope, or maybe a driver who's sitting but whipping them. Soifik is our he gets malchus. There's a lav in the Torah that you can't work two animals together of different species. Hayoshev bikrum, but somebody sitting in the wagon, also soifik is our he also gets malchus. But Rav Meir poiter sayosh b'kara. Rav Meir says the one sitting in the wagon is potter because he's not doing anything. Umida apich Shmuel v'tani. Shmuel switched the gears of that Mishnah. He said Chachamim poitrin esayosh b'kron. That the Chachamim were the ones who say that the guy sitting in the wagon is potter. So lechor, according to Shmuel, that the sitting in the wagon is not doing anything. Shma mina, sherochav lechude lo kani. The rider is not the one who acquires it. It's not called a ma'isa choshu to acquire. The kol sheken rochav, that means he was riding an animal by himself. There's no money. He certainly would acquire it, and certainly kol sheken rochav b'makom mani. If he's riding it and there's a guy leading it, the guy leading it would acquire it. So Amalei Abayla Rav Yosef, Hazinin Sagian Amrit Lo Nechze Anan, V'lo Amrit Lo Mishmeid Rav Yehuda. Many times, Rav Yosef would tell us this sugya, and you didn't say there was the name Rav Yehuda. Remember, Rav Yehuda had gotten sick. He had forgotten all of his learning and slowly got it back. So maybe he made a mistake, and he's assuming he's being miyaches this halachah Rav Yehuda when it wasn't the case. So Rav Yosef said, Rav Yehuda really said this. And the Karina Nami Darman Lane, I also remember that he said to us, when he told us, Heichi Poshit Mar, how was this case of, if riding, is that similar to sitting in a wagon? Yoishev loy tofis, the Moshe. A person sitting in a wagon with horses, he's not holding on to the bit or the whip or the thing that leads the animal. But somebody rides a horse, Rachov tofis b'masera. He holds on to the saddle and to the whip. Formerly, and Rav Yehuda had said, Ravu Shmuel Damer Tavayu Mosera lo koni. Somebody holding on to the Mosera is not koine. And therefore, according to that, there would be no difference between somebody riding and somebody sitting in a wagon. But Ikedi Amri, opposite, that really Abai Rav Yosef said the same thing. Amr Abai Rav Yosef himself, Hechi Poshit Mar, Rachuv Miyushiv, is riding an animal similar to sitting in a wagon. Yoshev Lo Tofes B'Mosere. Somebody sitting in a wagon isn't holding on to the reins. And Rachuv Tofes B'Mosere. So he responded, Hachitana, Aidi Mosere Lo Kani. Just holding on to the reins is not enough. But Itmer Nami, Arav Chaba Marav Huna, Moseira, regarding Kinyan, Mechaveira. Somebody gave the reins from one person, gave it to his friend, Kana. If he holds on to the Moseira that way, he acquires it. But if a horse is lost and walking around, and you pick up the rein, or Nichse Ager, right? Whoever picks up assets of a ger who doesn't have yorshim, just holding on to the Mosera, that's lokon. That does not acquire. My Loshen Mosera. Why is it called Mosera? Amar Rava, Aidi Asberli, like handing something over to somebody else. So Bishlam Chaveru Kani, Reuven hands it over to Shimon. Shimon acquires it. Because even the Komasur like Chavre, he gave it to his friend. It's a simon that he's coined it. B'mitzi of Nichse Ager, man Komasur Likni, who gave it to him that he should acquire it? Holding on to the Moser is not enough of a chazaka. So Meisvei, two people riding an animal. Mani, Ilem Rav Meir, Hashta Filu Yoshev Koni. If you're just sitting in a wagon, you're chayiv by kloim. Rochuv is more than just sitting in a wagon because you're holding on to the reins. Elav Rabbanan, who pottered the rider, the one sitting. Ushmamina, Rachuv Kani, that writing it does acquire it. So Gemara says no proof of it. Hachma eskinon b'manig b'raglav, like what Kenny said. He's directing the animal. He's not just sitting there. He presses in its flanks or by kicking it. So he's considered a manig. So he's not being coined als roichev. He's being coined als manig. Yochanu manig. Well, that's manig. Why tell me a different principle of roichev? Trey gavni manig. To teach me.
But the guy was sitting in the wagon. He's not kicking it.
He's not doing anything. So he's not coined according to Chacham.
Why not?
But the Rabbanon said, if he rides it, he's coined it. So the Gemara asks, what kind of, so we're going to prove from here that Rochav is coined? The Gemara says, no. We're talking about somebody who rides but kicks the animal. That makes him a manik. And he acquires it als manik. So then what's the chiddush? Trey gavni manik, to teach me that there's two different types of manik. One leading it by a rein, the other kicking it. Because Maud is saying, maybe Rochav is adif mimanik. Maybe riding it and kicking it is a greater kinyan. And Vitofis, and he let's say he's riding it and there's a guy leading it, maybe he gets it in preference. Kamashma, no, there's no adifus. They're the same. Okay, we'll stop here.
Tomorrow, 4 o'clock?
I'm gonna try. We're gonna try. I might have to cancel. We'll have to play it open-ended. You'll hear from 4 o'clock. We'll try, but if not, I'll send you guys.
All right, shkoyach.
We move the clock Saturday night, so we'll keep
Correct.
Saturday night 6:30.
All right.
Shabbos.
Good.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.